Welcome everyone to another episode of Follow the Light Music Review. My name is John DeLaurentis, and this is episode 15 in the series Revisiting the Classics. And today we're going to be looking at a classic hard rock metal album, none other than Bride, Snakes in the Playground. But before we get into that, I would like to encourage you to support my channel by subscribing, commenting on the video, liking the video, and make sure you ring the bell so that you can be notified of any future content that I'll be posting. Okay, so let's get into talking about Bride and talking about this specific album, their fifth studio album. But let's talk a little bit about some Bride history. So, heavy metal band Bride was formed in Kentucky, in Louisville, in 1983, and they were under the name of Matrix, and it was formed by brothers Dale and Troy Thompson. And in the online Bride book, Dale recounts, "We had been raised on music all of our lives, playing Southern gospel music in churches. We found our calling in the least likely style of music." So they went from that style of music to to extreme style of music in the hard rock metal area. So under the name of Matrix, the band recorded some demos, which they had sent out to magazines at the time and fanzines at the time. And the band at this point was Dale Thompson on bass guitar and vocals, Troy Thompson on guitars, and drummer Steve Gilbert, who would replace the original drummer Steve Childers. And then Matrix became a bit controversial in their stage shows. They were wearing makeup, spandex, hockey masks, jumping off of amplifiers. They used pyrotechnics. In a sense, they were kind of blazing a trail for Christian metal through this, and also reaching the lost teens who identified with the stage show that resembled the mainstream metal world. And so they had influence in that way, despite some controversy and maybe some people not understanding what they were about or being afraid of them or whatever the case may be. So in 1983, the band recorded and released their first, or released it, it was probably recorded before that, but they released in 1983 their first demo called PG-13. And other demos that were released by Matrix were Monkey See, Monkey Do in 1984, Silent Madness in 1985, and Studio Junkie in 1986. So some of the tracks that appear in these demos would later appear on the band's albums when they were eventually signed to Pure Metal Records. And there was also a CD that was released in 1994 of Matrix songs from the PG-13 and Monkey See, Monkey Do albums called Matrix 1983-1984. So in 1986, Matrix name was changed to Bride and the band was signed to Pure Metal Records. I know I was very excited at the time when Pure Metal Records came out, having been a collector of a lot of the Christian metal cassettes of these bands and up-and-coming bands. And so Pure Metal was kind of blazing a trail of releasing a lot of these metal bands that would not have found major label interest because of the style of music and because of the trailblazings. So remember, Petra had a difficult time playing rock. So when hard rock and metal started becoming more and more prolific, there was not necessarily a jumping of the major labels into it. So we had a lot of these independent labels like Pure Metal that were filling that gap and giving us these great releases on that label and other labels at that time. So they were signed to Pure Metal Records, and their debut, Show No Mercy, was released in 1986 on vinyl and cassette. I owned the cassette of it, and although the production at the time was not top tier, it blew me away as I listened to that raw metal sound filled with memorable riffs, solos, Troy's great guitar work on it, Dale's unique vocals, and just blew me away. I mean, I was trying to find where I put my cassette of it. I can't seem to find it. but we're going to talk about some of the releases of it later on CD. But that was in a cassette I played over and over again. In fact, I even remember one time saying I really want to just envelop myself or immerse myself in this album. And I remember like turning off the lights, putting on my cassette deck, laying on the floor and just listening to the music pour out of the speakers and just listen to it dozens and dozens of times, and absolutely loved it. And I thought they were breaking new ground for metal, and I was so happy to hear that. Of course, hearing that after hearing a lot of the demos by a lot of these Christian bands that were really raw and low production. This, although it wasn't the highest production, was still sounding better than that, and on a label here. So the album was released also on vinyl, and I remember the first reissue of the album coming out, and this, like I said, is an album I loved and played so many times that I was very excited to get it years later when it came out on CD. So the first reissue of the album was in 1988 on M8, Millennial 8 Records, and it included 7 Matrix bonus tracks on it. And remember, M8 was Matt Hunt's label before the advent of Retroactive Records. And let me show you that one here. This was it here. So this was the first reissue of it on CD. This one's actually signed by Dale and Troy. And I think this was a run of maybe 2,000 copies. And you can see it has the Millennial 8 in the top. It also opens up and just shows the original cover. And there's the label. And like I said, it has bonus tracks from the Matrix years on here, and a band photo there. And I believe inside, let's see what we have inside here again. Yeah, this was the lyrics here. So very happy to have it on CD at this point. And so that was the first version of it on CD. Then there was also a CD reissue done of the album in Brazil on Golden Hill Records. And it has the same exact bonus tracks. It's like this album, but released on a label in Brazil. Then in 2011, Retroactive Records reissued the album in a digipack version with no bonus tracks, just the album straight. And that was this one here. You see, I have all the versions of it because I love this album. And this one kind of folded out, had the lyrics here, and also had the credits over here on this side, and some nice live photos you can see there. So again, this was an upgrade. This was 2011, so the production and the remastering on this made it sound better. So it was progressively sounding better than that original cassette there. And so I had that version. Then also in 2021, Retroactives released it again. And they released it in its definitive gold disc version, which for me is the best sounding version. It blows open the songs, the music like never before. When I heard that, I was blown away, because I remember hearing it on cassette, and then now hearing it in this incredibly remastered version. Rob Caldwell, shout out to him for the remastering there. And it featured 3 bonus tracks taken from the Matrix 1983-1984 compilation CD. So here it is, the gold disc version. This is the version. So if you do not have Show No Mercy by Bride, get this version. This is the definitive version of it. You see that nice gold there. And when you open this one up too, you have a nice booklet, credits, photos. You have an interview with Dale Thompson in here, part 1. You have a nice collage of photos there. And then, of course, all the lyrics. And then you have some more stuff. This is Troy Thompson writing some notes here on the album here. And then again, so you can decide which way you want to have it in. The jewel case, either gold disc edition or, You can just keep it with that original cover. So again, the definitive version of it in terms of packaging and sound quality. I love to hear this album now in this remastered version. You know, it just opened up new things for me to hear in it that I didn't hear before. Okay, then they went on to release their second album, Live to Die. That was released in 1988 on vinyl cassette and on CD on Pure Metal Records. And we'll talk about that one in a minute. And I'll show you the version here. And that album is a blistering, raw collection of metal sounds that could be the hardest rocking Bride album in their whole discography. M8 reissued it on CD in 2006 with 2 bonus live tracks. I don't have that version. That one's like out of print and was not able to find it. Then Retroactives released it again in a digipack version with no bonus tracks, just like they did with the other one. And then the definitive version again came out in 1921. I'm sorry, 1921. That would be really interesting. Came out in 2021 with a gold disc version, which had 3 bonus tracks, 2 live tracks from 1989, and a demo of All Hallows Eve, which would show up on the next album, the third album. So this is the gold disc version here. And again, the definitive version remastered by Rob Caldwell. You have a great booklet in here. And this, of course, features part 2 of the interview with Dale Thompson in here. And some other write-ups in here. And, of course, all the lyrics in here. And that's really cool there. So, again, definitive version of their second album, Live to Die, which many people, it's their favorite Bride album. But I stick with Show No Mercy. I think it has like a special memory for me because of its impact it had on me to hear this quality metal. Because I'm a guy who grew up in the 1970s with all the classic metal bands. I grew up listening to Deep Purple, and these were metal bands, even though people dispute it today. These are the founding fathers of metal. If you know your history about metal, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, Uriah Heep, Kiss, all these bands, you know. So to find Aerosmith, another one, so to find a Christian version of the music I loved was made me very happy. So their third album was Silence is Madness, and that was released on Pure Metal Records in 1989 on vinyl, cassette, and CD. It was also issued on CD in the UK on Communique Records in 1990. Then it was reissued on CD by M8 Records in 2000 with 8 bonus tracks, and also in Brazil in 2002. And then M8 Records reissued a digipack version of the album in 2011 with no bonus tracks, so they had done all 3 of them in digipacks. And then again, the definitive gold disc version was released in 2021 by Retroactive Records with 4 demo bonus tracks here. So I have that one here to show you. And again, for time's sake, I'm not going to go through this booklet here, but there is a beautiful booklet in here. Great layout by Scott Waters on all of these. And again, the best sounding that this album has ever sounded, remastered by Rob Caldwell here. So great. Then Pure Metal released in 1990 a best of compilation that was called Best of Bride, End of the Age, which featured 2 new songs on it, Everybody Knows My Name and Same Old Sinner. These 2 new songs showed a band that was really honing their sound and maturing, and they're kind of moving more into a hard rock metal kind of sound on here. So this is the End of the Age one here. Okay, so it had tracks, of course, that were drawn from the first 3 albums, plus those 2 new songs that were on here. This album has Everybody Knows Your Name and Same Old Sinner, like I said, are the new tracks, but they're going to show up on the very next Bride album, Kinetic Faith. And their 4th and final album, like I just mentioned for Pure Metal, was Kinetic Faith. That was released in 1991, and it was a giant leap forward in production, in songwriting. And again, like I said, the 2 songs that were on the best of are on here. However, Everybody Knows My Name has a different intro. It's not exactly the same version as on End of Age. And I have to say, I like the version of Everybody Knows Your Name on here much, much better, opening up with the acoustic guitar. This one changes the intro on it, and I don't like it as much. I think the original version is better. But I guess they were trying to upgrade and do something a little bit different for here. But this, you really show the band in leaps and bounds with production and with songwriting, that they're really honing their skills on here. And they're kind of moving, like I said, into a more hard rock arena. And really perfecting their sound. It shows like some more, like some bluesy type influences on there that are there, and some standout tracks on here: Troubled Times, Hired Gun, Kiss the Train, and the impassioned closer, Sweet Lorraine, which was a song that made it on my top 10 songs about women on metal, pop, rock, and metal albums video. If you haven't seen that video, go check that one out. Sweet Louise made it onto that list. And then, of course, everyone was like really blown away by this Kinetic Faith and the sound of the band, but I don't know if anyone was prepared for the absolute masterpiece that followed. All right, so now the band was signed to Star Song Records. So Snakes in the Playground was released in 1992 on CD and cassette, and for me, the band's high watermark, an absolutely killer hard rock metal album that features, a swagger akin to Guns N' Roses, Aerosmith. It shows them as a band firing on all cylinders. We might compare it to how Kiss came out with Destroyer, and that was like a game-changing album for them. This album would be, comparable to that. Or when Aerosmith came out with Toys in the Attic. Not that what came before wasn't good, but these were kind of like high water marks where the band really came together and gelled with everything in a fantastic way. And so this album here in 2010, Snakes in the Playground, which I'm going to show you in a minute, the CD of it, HM Magazine listed it at number 45 on its top 100 Christian rock albums of all time. Heaven's Metal Fanzine listed at number 9 on its top 100 Christian metal albums of all time. And they won 2 GMA Dove Awards for Hard Music Recorded Song of the Year for 2 of its songs, Rattlesnake in 1992 and Psychedelic Super Jesus in 1993. And then it was reissued and remastered by Girder Records in 2021 on CD, and includes in the song listings in the Girder version, they include the track numbers. They insert the track numbers for the 2 intros to 2 tracks in the song listings. So let's look at the original one. This is the original CD release that I got. And this, of course, has the 12 tracks listed here. Opens up, it has some credits there. And when you open it up, you have kind of like a fold-out situation with the lyrics from top to bottom. And then at the time, there was a merchandise page here and an opportunity to become a part of the Keep the Faith fan club. All right, so that's the original release of the CD, which of course I still have in my collection and keep in my collection. And then there was the version that Girder came out with. So this is the deluxe remastered version. And like I said, they added the intro as track numbers on here to 2 of the tracks. So we have Don't Use Me intro before Don't Use Me, obviously, and Goodbye intro before Goodbye as tracks on here. So this ups it to 14 tracks. And so as you open this up, you see a beautiful layout done for this by Scott Waters. And when we open it up, a much better booklet. We have all the credits, a great band photo there. Great shot of Troy and the guitar. Have the lyrics all out here. Another great shot of Dale. And the lyrics to the rest of the songs. And then you have a write-up that Dale Thompson did in February of 2021 for this release. And this one is, again, kind of a very special one for me. This those of you who've watched the intro to the channel, you know that I am a copy editor for Girder Music, as well as Retroactive Records and Rocks Productions. This was the absolute first project I ever worked on as a copy editor for Girder Music, so has a special place in my heart. And so you'll find the lyrics. I'm a stickler for lyric correctness, and I'm an English teacher by day. That's my profession, and so I'm very much into editing, having edited and reviewed and graded hundreds upon hundreds of student writing essays and things, and I'm very kind of very meticulous about things. So when things do slip through, errors do happen from time to time and stuff, it really kind of gets to me, because I tried to be absolutely perfect in all of the copy editing in here. But it is something I do on the side, but I absolutely love doing it. And like I said, this was the first one I ever did. Shout out to Greg Hayes for taking me on as copy editor. I was with him first. He gave me the chance to come on and help, and have been working with him ever since. So this was back in 2021. So that's when I began my copy editing for Girder Music, and then later on Retroactive Records, and then later on Rocks Productions. So, all right, so let's talk about this song on this album. Let's discuss them. All right, this is an absolutely fantastic album. It opens up with Rattlesnake, and it opens up, you know, just from beginning to end, the album is just put together just fantastically, and the production is through the roof. Fantastic on here. So it opens with a man saying, Jesus is knocking at the door of your heart, and then you hear the sound of sirens, and then the song kind of like builds up, it gets louder and louder and louder until this pulsating hard rock riff that pretty much matches the wild abandon of Dale's vocals, where he's singing out his lungs on here. Lyrically, Dale is tackling the duality of human nature in its evil and good aspects. He sings, dropping rattlesnakes in the playground. Are we evil? Are we good? So the songwriting of the lyrics, you really see Dale coming into this maturity and this poetic aspect of writing lyrics that really make you think. And just think of that image, dropping rattlesnakes in the playground. So you think of a safe, innocent place like the playground, and then, you know, rattlesnakes, something that can kill, something that can destroy, and then using that as a comparison to human nature, the evil and the good that reside in humans. Then Troy lays down some leads, while the rhythm section of Jerry McBroom on drums and Rick Foley bass provides a nice background. And this also features the late Rick Elias on harmonica, and Des Dickerson provides the takeoff guitar solo here in the song here. So just an absolutely fantastic way to open an album. Then it goes on to Would You Die For Me, one of the album highlights. This song has a great opening riff. Then as Dale sings, a great bass riff underscores it as it leads up to its catchy chorus. Dale is shrieking on this in his best kind of Axl Rose banter way. The song slows down midway to this bluesy wah-wah voice box break, and it's an absolutely barn burner of a song that will blow your socks off. Greg Martin provides the guitar solo on this one here, and as each song comes on, you're like, oh my goodness, that's so good. Oh my goodness, that's so good. Oh my goodness, that's so good. And it never lets up. In the entire album, you keep saying that to yourself. So the next one is Psychedelic Super Jesus. This one has a charging riff that has this kind of start-stop motif with the riffing as Dale sings passionately, while Troy is adding some funky guitar grooves at points in the song. And the song is exploring the many ways that people of the world view Jesus. But in the end, Dale warns, today's the day, better give it away, there's no better time. And around the 3-minute mark, Dale does some spoken words in the background, and then it builds up the song to this kind of frenzy, and he lets out some wailing in here on the vocals. And then the bass at the end adds this nice kind of riff here. This one has background vocals by Plinky, who's the album's producer on here. Then this goes on to Fall Out. This song keeps the energy flowing high. It's another great opening riff, and it stops that opening riff while Dale sings over this funky bass line. Then it leads up to this great chorus. Troy layers in some cool guitar riffs here. Dale warns in the lyrics here that the end will come, but on my belly, if I have to crawl, I'll warn the world before it falls. And Troy has some more wild and frenetic guitar solo here on here as well. Then this moves into this kind of like pause with this 37-second Salt River Shuffle. This is like a interlude, almost like they're saying, okay, we've just blown your breath out. We need to slow it down for a few seconds so you can catch your breath before it goes charging into the next song. And this one has more harmonica on it by Rick Elias and some picking and grinning, as it says in the liner notes by Greg Martin. And this leads right back into the next song after a snippet of a riff from Rattlesnake plays, and then it goes into the next song, Dust Through a Fan. Dust Through a Fan, another high energy song that charges forward like a locomotive. It shows the band revved up to breakneck speed as some fretboard soloing is, like the solos are like dancing on the fretboard by Derek Jan on this one here, doing the leads, and some stretched out like a rubber band romps up the guitar neck here. Just fantastic. You have to hear it. Dale is on a high wail mode throughout the song, and it ends with this bluesy guitar snippet. Then it goes on to another chance for you to kind of slow down, catch your breath with this song called I Miss the Rain. Here the band, offers a contemplative ballad driven by a piano melody played by Plinky and some nice strummed guitars. Dale is showing off his bluesy vocal range here. It's a touching song of reminiscing about past good times. I want to go back to what we had. Times were better then. There's some wonderful harmony vocals that are provided by Rick Florian of White Heart fame. Some beautiful cello, mandolin, viola grace the track, bring in some nice melodies. That's from Troy. And the song ends with this nice soft keyboard outro. Really great song. And that's the thing. Ballads that are not syrupy sweet. Nothing against like a lot of the Stryper ballads, which were kind of syrupy sweet. They're great songs and I love them. But these are kind of more like what you expect as a metal ballad. They have that strong melody, and I think of songs on albums that I grew up with, think of Deep Purple, Soldier of Fortune ending the Stormbringer album and things of that nature. That's kind of like more of these type of metal or hard rock ballads here that are on here. Then it goes into Don't Use Me. This song teases the listener, opening with this lo-fi guitar riffing before Troy busts in with this rollicking riff, and the bass playing on this by Rick Foley is excellent here. The chorus is very melodious, has some great harmony vocals on here. Fantastic guitar solos are here by Troy and Greg Martin, and background vocals are done by Peter Furler and John James of the Newsboys. And the lyrics explore here the dark side of life and how one needs to be set free by Jesus. As the lyrics proclaim, Jesus cried drops of blood in the garden with his love so we would believe on his name. Picture Perfect follows. This infectious riff keeps on going with all these effective riffs, not stopping with this one. It opens up kind of like with a hypnotic riff as Dale sings over it. And then there's this hard rocking kind of sledgehammer riff as Dale shows off his vocal acrobatics here. This one will have you headbanging for sure. Some quivering guitar solos are provided by Troy that leads into some smooth licks here. Peter Furler and John James of the Newsboys fame again offer some gang style type background vocals, and Dale ends the song kind of with a gospel styled wail. Then the song Love Money is next. This features an Aerosmith-styled hard-rocking rhythm. That is another one that will steamroller you over. After the 2-minute mark, the song then has this grooving rhythm before it leads back into the wrecking ball riffing that it began with. Dale sounds a little like Steven Tyler here, cranked up to 10. Some Things Never Change. This opens up with a solid rhythm that leans into another funky groove and bass line and some tribal drumming. The chorus charges in like an elephant stomping. Some great wah-wah guitar soloing is featured on here by Troy. And at the 3.5-minute mark, the song has a frenetic guitar solo and frenetic guitar riff as Dale almost raps the last verse before it ends. And the song deals with the evils that men do, covering the topic of incest and the hopelessness the victim feels in that situation. And Dale proclaims at the end that despite the awful things that happen to you in life, the answer is always found in God. There's one hope and one salvation. It is for our generation. God is high for exaltation. Then the album closes with another ballad, Goodbye. Albums ends with this song is written by Troy and Plinky here, and it has a lovely melody played on the piano, and Troy plays the cello on this one. And the song is about godly influence. She is here to say there is a better way if you'll open your heart. And this guiding light leads one to see the one who saved me. It's a majestic ballad, almost in the tradition of like Elton John's early piano-based ones. Really, really strong way to end the album here. So overall, spectacular album that sounds just as fresh and engaging and applicable to today's world as it did in 1992. It's an album that has stood the test of time, and for me, Bride's finest hour. Although the band would follow it up with No Sloucher with 1994's Scarecrow Messiah, another really great album. You know, how do you top an album like this? It was very hard. Scarecrow Messiah, I would say, is on the same level of greatness as this album. So if you're not familiar with Scarecrow Messiah, keep your eyes on getting a copy of that one. For me, no Christian hard rock metal collection is complete without having this masterpiece album of Snakes in the Playground. And it's heartening to me that Bride is the most consistent band in hard rock metal music and Christian music, because they have never stopped. They have released albums all the way straight through from their beginning with Show No Mercy, even before that with Matrix, they had music out, but all the way up to the current year, 2025. They just came out with a 2 CD album called Vipers and Shadows, which I've been digging and loving and getting into it. So they're still making great music, 2025, and they're still making great music. And they also not only put out Vipers and Shadows, but also Lost Reels 4 came out as well. So between those three, the 2 discs and the Lost Reels, you have 30 new Bride songs to listen to. So I know this one went long, but this is an important band to talk about, an important album to talk about. So if you've lasted all the way here for this long episode, I hope you enjoyed it, and I thank you for watching. And I'd love to hear your comments about this album or about Bride in general. And as always, I encourage you to follow the light that shines out of the darkness. God bless everyone.